Hello everyone, Dan Brodsky-Chenfeld here, coming at you on Safety Day. I've been jumping for over 40 years now, and I love it more than ever. I love every jump I make, and even being on the drop zone when I'm not jumping. Just seeing the energy and the passion and joy on everyone's face walking in from a great skydive, it's a beautiful thing. It's an incredible sport and an even more remarkable group of people. There is absolutely nothing else like it. Nothing both saddens me and angers me more than when there is an accident and one of our family is severely injured or lost. It's always something that never should have happened and could have easily been avoided. The biggest safety issue in our sport is a general state of complacency. We don't mean to be complacent. We think we're being safe skydivers, but we're wrong. We're unintentionally complacent, and we make two big mistakes. First mistake is we underestimate the risk involved on any particular jump. The second one is we overestimate our readiness to handle that risk. I have over 30,000 jumps and I have never been injured skydiving. You want to know how I pulled that off? Well, many times it was pure luck. I pulled too low, but then also have a malfunction on the same jump. I lost awareness under canopy or on breakoff and barely missed a collision. Too many of my friends weren't so lucky. All that time, I thought I was a safe skydiver. But you know one thing I figured out? There is no such thing as a safe skydiver. There is only a safe skydive. And at this point, I figure my luck has run out. I do everything I can to make sure every skydive is as safe as it can possibly be. And here's how. I don't just go through the motions. I think about every step in the process of making a jump, and I expect everything that can go wrong to go wrong on every jump. This is my checklist. All right, to make every skydive you make the safest it can be, you've got to take everything under consideration even before the jump starts. First thing, are you ready to skydive? You know, skydiving requires that we're 100%. We need to be able to think quick, we need to be able to respond quickly. If you've not feeling well, if you're a little sick, if you had too late of a night out, you know what, it's probably a better idea you don't skydive. You need to be at your best. Also consider the weather, right? Are you able to jump? You feel comfortable in the winds, you feel comfortable with the clouds. You know, make sure that you feel completely ready to go. Different skydivers have different limitations and different comfort zones. Stay within yours. Also, a big mistake that we see now people making is actually getting on skydives that they really are not capable of being on yet. Right now in skydiving, people's skill increases so quickly. With the training that we have now with wind tunnels and AFF, people's skill is much higher very often than their experience. It takes both to get on skydives. I've seen people who are incredible in the wind tunnel, but only had 50 jumps. And then they thought, I know what, I want to go get on that 20-way. Well, they may have the skill, but they certainly don't have the awareness and the decision-making capabilities to be able to get on a skydive that large. So make sure you're getting on skydives that you belong on. And this goes for everybody. I feel very comfortable. If I could get on a 500-way world record belly jump right now, I would go in a second. If I'm on a 5-way free fly jump, I'm going to endanger all 4 of those other people. I got news for you. Then starting right from there, think about your equipment, right? Has your parachute been properly maintained? So many of us are using riggers now and using packers to pack for us that we're not as involved with our equipment as we were when we were packing for ourselves. Make sure your equipment is properly maintained, be familiar with it, know your equipment very well. Then starting right on any given jump, you need to expect everything that can go wrong to go wrong. So let's start with a gear check. I can't tell you how many times I see people just throw a rig on their back, not even do a gear check, throw it on, strap it on, and go to the airplane. You should never put a parachute on your back unless you have done a gear check on it right before you put it on. And do a gear check as if you're checking expecting something's wrong, right? Don't walk up and expect it's perfect and just kind of look around at it. Inspect it as if someone is testing you and they've done something to your rig and you need to figure out what it is. All right, that's the kind of attention you want to it. I do this every jump I make. There's always time to do it. Once you're on the airplane, Seatbelts tightly strapped, rig completely on so you're ready to exit when you get on the airplane. Helmets on and strapped down, not just on your head, right? It's not going to do you any good if it comes flying off your head if there's an accident. It's certainly not going to do your head any good if you have it strapped to your chest, right? And it could damage your chest. Get your helmets on and tighten down for takeoff. Before you exit the airplane, do another handle check and do a few on the way up, right? Usually we're pretty tight inside the airplanes. There's lots of opportunities for handles to get brushed, for things to be moved. Check your handles, be sure they're secure, be sure they're right where you want them before you get out. It's the last thing, no matter what jump I was on, even if it was a world record or at the World Championships, no matter what else I was doing, there was nothing more important than checking my handles before I got out of the airplane. On the jump, it's all about awareness. If we're aware of everything that's going on, then we're going to be able to make the right decisions at the right time to be able to handle the situation, whatever that situation is. To be aware, you've got to have a calm frame of mind. If we're too amped, all right, too over the line, we're not going to be calm enough to see everything and process all the information we're getting. You have to be super calm when you exit the airplane so that you can think clearly. That way you'll be able to make the decisions you need to. We usually prepare jumps with a certain plan in mind, but the plan never goes exactly as we've designed. We need to be ready to handle anything that comes up and make the right decisions. And that's done with that awareness. All right, we can't handle anything if we're not seeing it happen. Break off. When you break off, we see very often people are very focused on the jump. You're looking at the formation, you're looking who you're with on the skydive, and then it's break off time and everybody turns and just darts away, every man for themselves. You need to break off with the same awareness that you stay in the jump. It can't be a rushed move away. You need to smoothly turn away, transition smoothly to your track, see everybody else that's around, and expect people to be close to you. Expect them close to you every time. I don't care if it's a four-way. I've tracked off from a four-way and watched three other people going in the exact same line, only a few feet away from each other, not even paying attention to each other. Expect people to be close to you, all right? As your parachute's opening, know who is closest to you. When you come in to deploy, know who the closest person is and expect your parachute and theirs to turn right at each other, right? Very often we hear about canopy collisions that are 5 or 10 seconds after opening. Well, that means that they had plenty of space away from each other, that had they been aware of each other and had they been expecting that space to be reduced after opening, they would have been able to fix it. But because they may not have seen each other and weren't expecting the canopies to turn at each other, they weren't ready to handle that situation. So expect the closest canopies that there are, expect them to turn right at you on opening. And while you're opening, be on your risers already turning away from them. All right, that's the first thing on your mind during the opening. Other things expect to go wrong. I see very frequently, I've spoken to people who ended up low on the jump. They deployed low. They didn't have an AAD fire, but they were low. And I asked them, man, what were you doing down there? And they said, I had a hard pull. I said, you know, you got it out? They said, yeah, I got it out on the third try. Well, if you got it out on the third try, it wasn't that hard, right? They just obviously weren't putting the effort in the first try. And they said, well, I got serious on the third try. Well, you know what? Expect a hard pull and get serious on the first try on every jump. This is a life-saving maneuver. Come back to deploy your parachute like you mean it, all right? As far as malfunctions go, right? People are often surprised when they have a malfunction. I expect a malfunction on every jump. And I prepare with my emergency procedures as if I'm gonna have a malfunction on that jump. I don't just know my emergency procedures, I am really good at them. And I've already made the decision before I even get on the airplane that if I look up at my parachute and there's any question when it opens that it's not good, if it's not something I know I can fix, absolutely fix, I am cutting it away right then. We don't have time to make these decisions after we're under the canopies. We need to make the decisions now on the ground. What am I going to do if this happens? And then we can calmly execute them in the air. There isn't time to deliberate about this once you're under canopy. So you're expecting a hard pull. You're expecting people to be close to you on opening. You're expecting a malfunction, and you've prepared for it accordingly. All right? After you're open, you know you have a good canopy. You know you had space around you. As soon as you have your toggles out and you have your canopy under control, before you even look at the ground, look around again, right? Where you're going to land, where you are over the ground is not nearly as important at that moment as the other canopies around you. If everybody gets open, they check each other, they see each other, and then they're all staring at the ground. If you're converging with other canopies, you don't even know it, all right? We don't get open and all fly away from each other, right? We usually look down, we decide where most of us are going to land in a similar location, and for the rest of the ride under canopy, the canopies are converging closer and closer. We need to become more aware of them, not less. So right after you get open, you have a good canopy, you've checked around you, right? You've got your canopy under control, check again for everybody who's around you. Make sure your airspace is clear. Look down, see what the winds are doing, see where you're going to land, what is a good place for you to land, all right? Determine then what the pattern is you're going to fly, all right? Where you want to land and what the pattern is that you're going to fly. As you enter into that pattern, realize again, people are going to be converging, they're going to be flying the same pattern. You need to become more aware of them as you get closer to the ground, not less. It's very common for people, especially after they're on their downwind, they're thinking about their base, their final, their landing area. Their vision becomes more and more tunnel vision and less expanded, right? The closer you get to the ground, the more expanded the vision needs to be. And I hear people say all the time, I'm on final, I need to focus on my landing, I need to focus on my landing, I can't be distracted with other people. Well, if you can't do both of those things at the same time, if you can't focus on your landing and stay aware of everybody around you, then you need to have a bigger parachute and land in a different area. If you're going to put yourself where there's other parachutes landing, you need to be able to focus on them and your landing at the same time. After you set up on final, hopefully about 300 feet, flying straight in, I've seen people very frequently line up on final and they're right behind other people and then have to take some kind of evasive maneuver, have to turn, go across the landing area and cut other people off. And I've said to them, man, what are you doing? They said, man, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have any choice. That person was right in front of me. Well, their choice was 1,500 feet higher. That's when they had a choice not to put themselves there. Make sure you're putting yourself where you know you have a clear space. Not just where there's a little tight runway. Expect the people who have already landed to get up and walk in front of you. If there's tandems on the ground, expect that the tandem student is going to go do cartwheels across the landing area. All right, expect these things to happen and give yourself enough margin that no matter what happens, you're going to land safely and you're not going to be infringing on anybody else's space either. After you land, collapse your canopy and turn around immediately to see who else is coming. Right? You need to be aware of everybody that's there. Give them the right of way, give them the clearance, give them the space that they need to land. All right? These are the things that you need to do every jump. And you can't just think of it as, I'll do this, I'll think about break off when I'm on a larger formation with more people. I'll think about my canopy when I know there's a lot of canopies in the sky. These things have to become habits. They have to become a discipline. They have to be something that you do all the time. Right? Just because you just got done packing your parachute 10 minutes ago doesn't mean you shouldn't do a gear check before you put it on your back. All these things, if you want them to work for you and you want to make every skydive as safe as it can be, this needs to be your process, your discipline, your habit that you do every jump. You always do a gear check before you put it on. If I've done a gear check and then I had an extra 10 minutes before I needed to get geared up, I check it again, just so that that discipline is established in me and I'm not capable of putting the rig on without doing the gear check first. Okay, this goes for all of these processes, all the disciplines. That's how we make it a safe skydive. Not being safe is not cool. There is nothing cool about hurting yourself out in the landing area. There is certainly nothing cool about hurting somebody else. What's cool is going to the bar at night, having a beer with your friends, and laughing about what an awesome, awesome day of skydiving you had, and everybody going home safe. That's cool.